Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of this video. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to create a camera and select it, and we want to zero it out and the coordinates, and the same for rotation, and we're going to bring it back here on the z-axis to about 500. We're going to select all the objects and do the same, zero them out on the rotation and group them with Alt G. I'm going to rename that null to Earth, and okay, we're gonna rotate it just to see what it looks like. Okay, so it's rotating nicely. I want to rotate the light just a little bit. So I'm just gonna zero that out first of all, and I'm gonna bring the light over here so that the dark side is over on the left hand side. Now we can turn off the interactive render view. We don't need that anymore. And what we want to do with our camera is we want to animate it so that it's going to whiz right by the earth. And it's basically going to look like the earth is whizzing right by the camera. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to set this up in its start position. And I'm just going to get that right up there, right beside it, and I'm going to turn off the scale, rotation parameters, because we're just adding keyframes for position. I'm going to add a keyframe, and I'm going to increase the frames range to 600, and then I'm going to drag the camera back here. Just have a look at what we're doing here. Drag the camera back so that the earth is going to rest in this position on the left hand side of the shot. We don't want it center screen because we're going to be adding a background in After Effects. So okay, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, let me select the screen so that we can see. Okay, let's go back again and check that out. Okay, so it's coming in really slow, so we need to fix that. Shift F3 to open the timeline, select your camera and zoom out there. Hold Alt to zoom out and use the left click. Select, press Tab to open up your F curves and select everything, and then you can click on the linear interpolation button to straighten everything out. Now there's going to be no easing in and out, so the earth is just going to come in at the same speed. It's going to start off at the same speed that it finishes, basically. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to let's see. So we want to tilt the earth. So as you can see, it should be at a tilt of 23.4 degrees. So we want to zero out. We'll start by zeroing it out, and we can set the rotation here to 23.4. Not there, but actually there. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now if we rotate it, it's gonna be rotating on the correct angle on its axis. Cool. Okay, so let's bring it back here now and see what we got. So the camera goes behind the earth, and we also want to make the earth rotate. So I'm just going to rotate the earth and the clouds. The atmosphere, we don't need to bother with it because it's going to look the same no matter what angle it's at. So we can maybe try for an end point of 298, and then a start point set back to 0, and add another keyframe. Hit play there, and let's see what this looks like. Okay, so I forgot to turn on the rotation there in the keyframe settings. So let's try that again. Go to 236, set a keyframe, and then go back to frame 0 and bring it back to 0 and set another keyframe. Okay, so cool. Okay, so it's rotating and the camera is flying behind the earth. Okay, so we'll just play that out and see what it looks like. Okay, it's looking pretty good. And it's going to come to a rest. Cool. So I'm just going to see what that looks like when it's rendered out, this particular frame. Okay, so I want to rotate the light a little bit so that we have a bit more bright side and a little less dark side. Check this out. Okay, happy enough with that. And it's going to end right about there. Okay. So just one last thing I want to do is to set the interpolation of the rotation of the Earth and the clouds to linear, just like we did with the camera movement. And let's try that again. Okay, so it's looking good. Okay, so that's what it's going to be looking like when it's rendered out on that frame. So we're going to save this, and we are going to go into our render settings, and we are going to select output, set this to 1920 by 1080, and we want to also select all frames. We want to go from 0 to 600 frames in our render. We want to save this as a PNG sequence, and we're going to just locate the folder in which we want to save the sequence to. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it new sequence, and I'm going to call the file name new earth sequence. Okay, turn on your alpha channel, because we are going to be adding a background in After Effects, and that's it for the render settings. So then we just go down to render queue, delete off any old renders in the queue, and then we're going to add to render queue and hit play. So that's going to render out there. It shouldn't take that long. I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to actually, I was going to include the part about bringing this into After Effects and making our cool background in this one video, but as we're almost at 10 minutes, I'm just going to create a new video. It's going to be part 3, and it's going to be bringing it into After Effects and creating our background for the Earth. Okay guys, I'll see you in the next video.